For today's episode of The Inspired House, it's all about being in the gym, and we're going to help you build your health harmony with certified personal trainer Rodney Etienne. Rodney is a personal trainer, coach, and influencer who's stopping by the show and giving us all the keys to help us get healthy, stay healthy, and live long, productive lives.
Whatever lesson that I learned from sports just kicked in. It was just like, oh, stay with it. Just stick with it. And that's what it is. In business, man, you just got to stick with it. If you give up, it's over. You pay me and then you don't show up. That's the biggest waste of money. That's a huge waste of money. If you make excuses or you accept excuses, that's a red flag because you probably won't be successful. Getting in shape is hard. It's not easy. You can find a million excuses to deter your process, and if you allow them to get in your way, then you won't be successful. If I give you 5 potatoes versus a family-sized bag of Doritos, which one do you think you would be able to get through first? So a natural way to cut back on calories is to stop.
Welcome home, family. We are in the Inspired House. As always, I'm your host, Desmond Davis, and today, y'all, we're going to be in the gym, both figuratively and literally, as we talk with my guest, Rodney Etienne, who is going to be here to kind of break down a little bit for us on what it means to really have a healthy lifestyle. So, hey, Rodney, how you doing, family?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. I can't complain. Having a good day. It's beautiful outside, so can't complain, man. How are you?
Man, that is great to hear. Family, I'm good. It is a beautiful day as well, man. I'm finally getting a little bit more sunshine and warmth, and so I can't complain, bro. But hey, first thank you so much for hopping on and being in the podcast and talking to the Inspired family. And as you know, we always go over different parts of the house that resemble really what our life is, whether we're looking at the office and that's our career, whether we're looking at the garden and that's our personal progression, or whether we're in the gym and we're looking at building that health harmony, building that healthy lifestyle. And with all of what you do, I was just convinced, man, that you would be an amazing guest and the perfect person to really speak to us about what it means to have a healthy lifestyle. But I don't want to talk too much anymore. So I want to hand it over to you and tell the audience, tell the Inspire family about yourself.
Well, first and foremost, I thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm super proud of what you've been able to do with your company and everything you've been doing lately, man. So really, really honored to be on here. But yeah, man. So, I've been in the industry for since 2015. I started my first company back in 2015 with a partner of mine. So our initial goal back then was to elevate our community through fitness. So that company, that was known as Rage Fitness, and that became a real big staple in our community. We were training hundreds and hundreds of people at a time, in parks in our city and in our county. And that became really big. And then fast forward a few years after that, I ventured out on my own and started my second fitness company, which is Supreme Performance Training. 2021, I left my job. I started working in the business full time, training dozens and dozens of people since then. I've got so many people in shape. I was able to, change the lives of so many people, man. And it's just been really fulfilling for me. I was able to partner up with the largest calisthenics facility in the Northeast to be a trainer in the gym. It's known as Barron Central Fitness, a Black-owned gym out in Rockland County in Sloatsburg, New York. I've been working with these guys for since 2021. Been training my clients here, and just really trying to impact everybody that I come into contact with, man. So it's been great,
Bro. So that is so much. So what I'm hearing is just this amazing progression of really using fitness as a way to really make impact and really the impact that you're already having. And so I guess knowing you and knowing, for us, we kind of go back, both going to college together and stuff. I remember there has always been kind of this entrepreneurial kind of like go-getter spirit that's been about you. But I guess my question, and I think the question my audience might have, who might be interested in whether it's starting their own fitness business and coaching, or whether it's just to get healthy for the sake of getting healthy, and they see and hear what you've done. Has it always been like that? Have you always just been gifted in this type of area? What's the story?
Yes. In terms of that entrepreneurial spirit, I think that I've always had it as a child, since a child, right? Like I can remember one of my neighbors, he was an older guy. He used to have like a lot of sneakers, and my best friend and I, we would like wash his sneakers for money, right? Just to clean his sneakers and go and get some money to go and get whatever snacks that we wanted. So I felt like, just growing up where I grew up, that entrepreneurial spirit has been, it's been being nurtured in me since a young kid. But as far as like fitness and training, like the training aspect, I wouldn't say that it was always there, but working out myself, I was a 3-sport athlete my entire life. I was football, wrestling, and track. And so I got introduced to training through, preparing for my sport. And football was my first love, man. I gave everything that I had to it. I never cheated the game, right? You hear all the greats talk about what they give to the game, and so I approached it that way. And so I fell in love with the process, and now working out it's become a part of who I am. And so in 2015, I had one of my first business partner. He was an athlete himself, and at the time he was going to school for athletic training. And like I always had this passion for my community as well. And so we were just talking about how like we have so many different things in our community, but we don't have anything in terms of helping people stay healthy, helping people stay in shape. And so he was like, "Yo, let's start hosting community workouts." And so we started doing that for free. And then we saw the response that we got. And then we just kept going with it. And then slowly but surely, it grew into a business organically. And it's kind of like, when you finally start seeing results and you see the impact that you have, it's like, yo, I want to keep doing this. And so that it kind of happened that way. Once I saw the impact that I was having with it, it was like, all right, I got to keep going with this. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how it started.
So from washing somebody's sneakers to get some money to get snacks, to taking that idea of providing a service and impacting a community, I'm sort of hearing and seeing a consistent theme of you see a problem that you can provide a solution for, and you start providing that answer. Am I hearing that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, where there's a problem, there's a business. You know what I mean? So where there's a problem, you can have impact. So I didn't know it then when I was doing it. I know it now as I've grown, I've matured, I've gone through my journey. But yeah, I would agree. Yeah, that's what it is. If I see a problem, I try to solve it. I try to do my best to find a solution for it.
I love that. Where there's a problem, there's a business, and that's a bar. I'm stealing that just so you know. I just let you know now, bro. I tell other guests I follow the rule of 3. So the first time, right, I'll give you credit and I'll say, oh, that's Rodney who said where there's a problem, there's a business. The second time I mention it, I'm gonna say, oh, there's this person who once said, oh, when there's a problem, there's a business. The third time, it's gonna turn into, I always say, if there's a problem, there's a business. So just letting you know, bro, to trade up.
We all got, man. We all got.
Bro.
Line is yours, bro.
Hey, all love, baby. So okay, so then growing up and seeing opportunities to kind of like clean shoes to get snacks and stuff like that. What are some other areas when you see how did that desire to just want to do the work, how did that carry over into sports?
Oh man, I think it's the other way around actually. Like even when I was washing the sneakers and all that, I was playing sports. So, my oldest brother, he's the most influential person in my life, right? And he was he's still alive. I'm saying like he's gone. He's an authoritarian type of person, right? He's a do as I say, not as I do type of person. And from a young age, he instilled that work ethic in me, that drive. He was like, yo, if you want to be good at something, you got to put the work in. You're not just going to be good just because, you say you're going to be good. You have to put the work in. And so that's the only way I knew how to do it. I was never the most talented guy. never, not at any stage of my life, was I ever the most talented. Anything that I got from sports or anything that I was able to accomplish has been because of the work that I put in. You know what I mean? And without that work, I wouldn't have accomplished any of it because never the biggest, never the fastest, never the strongest, never the most talented. That was never who I was. My DNA was always, you know, put that work in. When people ask me what's my greatest quality, the first thing I say without hesitation is my work ethic. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's been instilled in me from a young age.
I love that. So then this desire to do the work, and before, if I'm hearing you correctly, what I'm hearing is there's this understanding that if there's anything you can have, it's the ability to do the work.
Absolutely, 1,000%,
So it's sort of like the Mamba mentality, right?
1,000%.
I love
I
this.
wouldn't go as far as to say I'm like Kobe yet, but I'm striving for it. That's the goal.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. It's a way of thinking and operating. That willingness to do the work and understanding that the work is part of the journey,
Yeah.
and you're showing that time and time again. So then you said you were a three-sport athlete. You did football, you did wrestling, you did track. What was your sport?
So my favorite sport was football. Right, that was my first love. But I tell people all the time, I have more potential in wrestling than I did in football. Like if I would have gave the amount of effort that I gave to football to wrestling, I think I would have went much further in wrestling than I did in football. But in terms of like passion and time that I put in and everything like that, it was 1,000% football. Like that was my thing, man. It still is my thing. I still love it to this day. I'm still connected to the game now. I trained a bunch of athletes. I do things in my city for young kids, you know. So I'm still connected to it now, man. I still love it.
I, I'm hearing again kind of a consistent theme of how you're able to take the thing that you love, you're able to take the thing that you do, and you provide it to the community. Would you be willing to kind of explain a little bit what clicked when you like what clicked for you in understanding, hey, I can take this thing that I love and I could turn it into a way of providing service to my community. So like what inspired that?
To be honest with you, Des, man, if I said that there was like a specific thought or, you know, some aha moment that happened, I'd be lying, right? These things feel natural to me. You know what I mean? Like giving back to a young kid who's trying to go play in college and connecting them with coaches and training him and all that stuff, it feels natural to me. Because when I see him, I see me. I went through that process. And so if I can help you avoid some of the things that I went through, I'm gonna do that. You know what I mean? And if I sat here and said that these are things that I think about, I'd be lying. It's just a natural desire that I feel. I can't really explain it. The best thing I could say is I guess I could say it's like a calling for me. You know what I mean? Like I I don't feel like we're here to have information just for us. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, if we got it, we have to teach it. What are we doing with it? What are we doing with the access that we have? What are we doing with the resources that we have? What are we doing with the knowledge that we have? Like, why did we go through these things? You know what I mean? Okay, our goal was to make it to the NFL. I was never good enough, but still learn the things along the way. What am I doing with the things that I learned along the way? You know what I'm saying? I'll pass it back to somebody who's trying to get there and say, hey, this is the reason why I failed. Don't do this. You know what I mean? And so I guess that's my mindset when I think about it. But in terms of, taking the things that you love and then putting it out there to the world, I think to have anything of worth, you need to be able to be consistent with whatever it is that you're doing, right? And me personally, I find it way harder to be consistent with doing things that I don't love. You know what I mean? So when I love something, I'm able to show up every day. I love football, so I can show up to the field and train my guys. I love I love working out. I can come to the gym every day. I love helping people. I can show up every day and not feel like it's a chore. And so, I just think it's a natural thing for me, man.
I love that. I always kind of ask this question and I always get different responses. And you said something at the end about how you can be more consistent with something that you love. And I guess my question is, can can you learn to love something? In other words, like this, you said how you love to do football, you love to train the guys, but that also came from doing the work. And so, did you develop a love because you put in the work at first, or was it the love was there and so the work followed? What was that for you? Was it the work then love, or was it the love and that just made it easy to do the work?
For me, I mean, in terms of football,
Mm-hmm.
I would say it came from, putting in the work for football. It came from the admiration I had for my brother. You know what I mean? I admire my brother. That's my role model. Like I say, he's the most influential person in my life. And growing up, he was playing football. I'm gonna play football. He played quarterback. I'm playing quarterback. He wore number 8. I'm gonna one up him. I'm gonna wear number 9. Right? So it was like it started from there. But to answer your question directly, do I think you can learn to love something? Absolutely. And I think the way you do that is to get good at that thing. Right? A lot of people are waiting to find that thing that they love. And so they're sitting on their hands and they're not doing anything. But I find that, once you put in the work and you get good at whatever it is, it's so easy to like it. Like, who doesn't like to be good or to be the best at something?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then once you get that what you call it, that those positive affirmations and, from people around you, they're telling you like, hey, you're so good at this and so good at that, you know, it's so easy to show up every day. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think yes, you can learn to love something, but you have to put in the work to get good at it first.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. So instead of, so then an argument can be made to maybe find something you're interested in and start doing the work.
Yeah.
When you do the work and you see the results, you'll discover that love for it, which I think that's true. That's true in relationships too, right? This whole idea of love at first sight is a great thing, but I tend to love things and love people more who I put time in with. And
Yeah.
so what you're saying is really kind of resonating. So then, okay, so for my audience, one of the things we try to master at the Inspired House is this idea of work-life rhythm, right? And understanding that there really is, for us, there's no such thing as balance in our tribe. It's this need to really be willing to do the work of trying to build something holistic, understanding where we need to be and what needs to be our focus. And I think for a lot of us, we put our health on the back burner. So what have been some things you would notice? And I just want to maybe pivot to that conversation. When it comes to health, what are the benefits if you're an entrepreneur, if you're working a 9 to 5, if you're a stay-at-home parent? What are some things maybe people aren't thinking about when it comes to their health and how it can contribute to other areas of their life?
Yeah. I mean, I'm one who believes that everything is connected, right? And so when I think about, well, I'll use myself as an example. There are times when, I fall off the wagon. I might have an injury here, or I might have a lot of things going on, and I might be doing a lot of things at once, and I'm not able to be on my square in terms of fitness, in terms of my training and my nutrition. Um, but during those times, it's like I noticed that I fell off in other areas. So like my creativity might take a hit, right? Because I'm not feeling well, or I'm feeling sick, or I feel injured, or so I feel like people need to understand that when you're feeling good, when you're in shape and you're feeling good physically, you're able to show up much better in the other areas of your life. You know what I mean? And so it's like, if I got the energy, if I have the strength, I can go out and I can talk to more people and I can make more phone calls. If I have the energy, I can stay up, I can send more emails, right? As an entrepreneur. If I'm a mom, I can play with my kids. You know what I mean? I can bend down and pick my kids up and do all of these things. And so it's all connected, and people don't really understand that. And I was thinking about this morning. Um, like I like to spend my mornings reflecting. And one of the things that I thought about was that like Jay-Z has a line in the song, the cost of everything but the value of nothing. And so people, they all they look at is the cost of getting in shape, but they don't understand the value of being in shape. They see oh, it's time consuming. Oh, I'm going to be sore. Oh, I'm going to be this. Oh, I'm going to be that. But they don't really take the time to understand that it's an investment. You know what I mean? It's going to pay off tenfold if you just do what you have to do in the moment. And I think, that's what's missing for a lot of people.
Bro, I love that because this idea of value in what you're talking about, I think it reveals where our mindset often is and our inability to see the value in the work we do is usually a direct indicator that we don't have a growth mindset, right? That we can only look from a detriment perspective, a deficiency perspective. And so that's really interesting. So that when you're training people, what are things that you look for as a personal trainer that lets you know that this person is going to be successful in your program?
One of the first things, one of the very first things that I look for. So like I have a questionnaire and I tell them fill out why you want to hire a personal trainer. And one of the first things that I look for is what is their motivation, right? So like if somebody is inquiring about personal training with me and it's from a place of, oh, I hate this about myself or I hate that about myself, to me, that's already a red flag, right? It's hard to be consistent when you're insecure and you doubt yourself, because getting in shape is already a difficult process, right? And so if you can show up if you are doing this because you love yourself, no matter how hard it gets, you're gonna show up, right? So if you're saying, oh, I love myself and therefore I'm gonna take care of myself, to me that's like, okay, this person's gonna last, right? Um, some other things that I look at is like occupation. What do you do for work? Not and it's not financial, but it's just, okay, this person is consistent. They can show up every day. They committed to something. So that means they do have the ability to commit, right? Um, so those are like some, attitude or mindset type of things. And then as far as like the physical stuff, you don't really know that until you actually evaluate them, and you go through your process. But as a trainer, you'll learn quickly that every day is an evaluation, right? No matter what you're doing, every day you're constantly evaluating this person's ability. And so, um, you know, on the physical side, it's just that's an ongoing thing. You don't really know beforehand.
I feel that. Okay. So then let's say somebody works a 9 to 5. Let's say it's an office job. What are some things that they could do to just to be healthier, right, from Monday to Friday? If let's say they can't do an hour in the gym or something, or maybe they have to cut their gym time short that day. Are there things that people can do during their, let's say, office job that they can do to be healthier, to treat their body better?
Absolutely. So there's this thing that this is an idea. It's called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, right? And so people used to like brush this off back in the day, and now people are finding out that it's been really effective. So basically, what it is incorporating movement into the things that you are already doing, right? So for example, if I'm at work at a desk, instead of sitting down, I might stand up for if I sit down for an hour, I might stand up for 20 minutes, right? Or every time I eat lunch, I might go out for a walk, maybe like a 5-minute walk right after. Or I might park my car at the end of the parking lot. I'll take the stairs, things like that. Those are small little ways that you can start to incorporate more movement. Because with fitness, as long as you're doing more than what you're doing now, you're gonna progress. That's how the body adapts, right? So if you're not doing anything right now, you start to incorporate the things that I just said. You're literally going to see results from doing just that. Um, in terms of actually getting to the gym or things like that, you can do hit exercises, right? You can do 20-minute workouts. The thing a lot of people do, they try to make excuses or whatever the case is, and the insidious thing about excuses that you don't even know you're making them, you don't even know how they're affecting you, right? Because they feel so real. You might actually be really, really tired from work, right? You might actually be short on time because you have to pick up the kids and things of that nature, but it doesn't matter because the goals are the goals, right? So you have to do what you got to do regardless of those things. And so if you're working a 9 to 5, I find that going for walks on your lunch break, maybe waking up a little earlier to do a 20-minute exercise, or doing something for 20 minutes in the evening. It doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be 2 hours, right? It could be for 20 minutes. The main thing is being consistent.
Amen.
Yeah.
I like that. And what I'm hearing is it's these little things that can build up over time. That
Absolutely.
if you can do this little bit here, this little bit here, the little bit can make a big difference. And I love how you're breaking that down. So then with I guess for some folk, hold on 1 second. Up line. You could be cut. Cool. Jean Paul could just edit that part. My bad. I was looking at the baby monitor. So with what you do, right? Former athlete, went to same college to play ball, tore my ACL, and then that was just kind of it. Even before I even got to get into really like playing. I really struggled with being healthy and still struggle to this day, right? Still dropping weight, trying to go into the gym and eating right, doing a heck of a lot better. But one of the things I think I kind of always realized, and I would love to hear your insight on it. I never made that healthy connection with the gym outside of sports. And so my only reason to really go to the gym was because I was playing a sport. And once I stopped playing the sport, I kind of stopped going to the gym. Now, is that just a me thing? Is that a common thing in like the work that you do? Or would you say, I don't know, what do you think?
Oh yeah, no, it's super common. A lot of people, when they think about fitness and working out and training, especially with the rise of social media and everything, how fitness has been glamorized. They associate it with, just like vanity purposes, right? Looking good and these things. But if you're somebody who doesn't care about that, right, then what is your incentive to go to the gym? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't really care to be like a Greek god or a goddess, then what's the incentive to go to the gym? And so I tell people, you have to connect it to something that you care about, right? So I know I have clients like they really want to they want to have children down the line, right? Or I have clients who are artists. They want to look good on stage, right? They want to have better breath control on stage. So what is it that you care about? Answer that question, and then connect the gym to that thing, and then I find that people have success that way.
Wow. I guess I've never, wow. Yeah. I guess I never thought of it. But I guess that makes sense. Yeah. I've always looked at it as I only went to the gym when I was younger because I played football and that's why I cared. And so because I'm not playing a sport anymore, I stopped caring and I viewed that as a bad thing. But I appreciate that reframe of instead, that was my answer, is just find something new to connect it with. And now that you say that, that's exactly what I do. Because when I'm in the gym now, I'm thinking about my wife, but now I'm also thinking about my daughter and being there long term and what I'm doing like sets. And if I feel myself struggling, I imagine my daughter. I imagine holding my daughter. And if my arms get tired and I drop my daughter, I'd be heartbroken, and that gets me through a set. And so I guess, wow, yeah, that's fire. I love that. So then what we attach to the work can help us get the work done. And I really like that. So then what have been some of the things you've gleaned now that you've taken something that seems to be a passion of yours and seems to be something that you're good at, What have been some of the lessons you've gotten from turning this into a business, and not just a business, but a successful business?
But I think that as I reflect, man, in terms of running a business, a lot of this stuff is the same, right? I connected to the same work that I had to put in for sports. It's about repetition. It's about consistency. It's about knowing what you're doing, right? Knowing your stuff, knowing your industry, right? So when I was getting ready for a game, I need to watch film. I need to study my opponent. I need to know my assignment. I need to know what I'm doing. But then also, even before that, I need to put in the work. I need to make sure that my skills are up to par, right? And so when I think about applying those same lessons to my business, it's the same thing. I need to know my industry. Where's my target market? How do I reach them, right? And then it's about repetition. The more people I can talk to, the more I can grow my business, right? Um, Again, knowing your craft, constantly being a student. I'm always learning. I'm always reading. I'm always watching podcasts, learning new information, trying to prove myself wrong, right? And I think those are some of the biggest lessons. And one, my first, so I started my company in June of 2021.
It.
That first February after that, I had a terrible month. Like, it was terrible. I think I made $1,000 that month for the entire month. And I'm sitting there, you start to panic. You're like, oh my God, how am I gonna pay my bills and all and this, that, and the third. But I guess, that whatever lesson that I learned from sports just kicked in. It was just like, oh, stay with it. Just stick with it. And that's what it is. In business, man, you just gotta stick with it. If you give up, it's over. It's over. You just gotta keep going, and you gotta stay consistent and keep putting yourself out there, and eventually, you'll grow. And that's what I was able to do. I was able to grow my business from, at that time, I think I had maybe 4 clients, to now I've trained dozens and dozens and dozens of people between now and then. Um, I'm making the most money that I ever have at any point in my life at this very moment. And so, it's been great. I'll say the lesson that I've learned is just, like I said, just keep going, keep learning, keep putting yourself out there, and just keep grinding, man.
And I love that. So it, if we're continually growing and we're continually grinding, we kind of discover new things about ourselves. And so what what have you learned about yourself kind of in this entrepreneurial process with starting your own fitness company?
Well, that I'm everything I say I am, that I'm everything I think I am. Never been a quitter. I've never been a quitter. I've always had a tough mindset. When I walked out of my job that first day, before I even get there, let me backtrack a little bit. That whole year before I left my job, I said this is my last year working for somebody. I walked out of the job. First thing I said was, now you're gonna see what you're made of. Now you're really gonna see what you made. You were talking it, and now it's time to see. And I think that this journey has reinforced all my beliefs about myself. I have full confidence in my abilities. I have full belief in what I'm doing, and this process has reinforced that for me. You know what I'm saying? The highs, the lows, I'll take them all. I'll take them all.
Wow. So pursuing entrepreneurship and getting into business revealed really who you are, and everything checked out. You were right.
Yeah.
That that that's a flex. That's a flex.
100%.
Okay. Kind of sort of related, but maybe not exactly related. As a trainer, as a coach, what are some red flags you see in potential clients?
Well, the one we spoke about, red flag, is, like I said, the mindset coming in, right? If you're doing it from a place of, I hate this about myself, I hate that about myself, already, I probably am not gonna work with you. Um, And then, just psychological barriers, right? Like we talked about excuses already. If you'll make excuses or you accept excuses, that's a red flag because you probably won't be successful. Getting in shape is hard. It's not easy. Um, you can find a million excuses, right, to deter your process. And if you allow them to get in your way, then you won't be successful, right? If you have an all or nothing mentality, probably won't be successful, right? Like I said, in terms of fitness, as long as you're doing more than you're doing right now, you're gonna be all right in the long run, right? Some people they think because, oh, if I can't work out, 5 times a week, I'm not gonna do it at all. Or if I can't do it a full hour, I'm not gonna do anything at all, right? And that all or nothing mentality, I noticed that it's held a lot of people back in my experience. What else? Um, yeah, man, I don't know. When I see them, I can just sense it, right? But like off the top of my head, those are some of the ones that come to mind out the gate.
What is like a waste of money that you see people who are trying to get in shape do?
Oh my God. Well, one, you pay me and then you don't show up. That's the biggest waste of money. That's a huge waste of money. All of these, teas and detoxes and all of that stuff, it's a waste of money. As long as you have a functioning liver and kidney, your body is going to detox itself. So those are a waste of time. They try to tell you that, oh, this is going to help you lose weight. Listen, eat less calories than you burn and you will lose weight. It's a little more complicated than that. We're talking about body composition, but it's simple. Eat less calories than you burn and you're going to lose weight. And I think, the fitness industry now, as much as I love it, they play on people's insecurities, and they know that people are insecure. And so they drive home these things that make people waste their time and their money. Right. And, I like these supplements is a waste of money. Paying trainers, not showing up is a waste of money. Buying subscriptions and all of these things. Like if you're not gonna commit to the process, you're gonna be wasting your money. And if you're not gonna educate yourself on how to do it properly, you're gonna waste your money.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because I think that exposes something about us. We act like money is the most important thing in the world, but then we don't necessarily act in a way that shows that. You know what I mean? We don't act in accordance because we waste our money on stuff. And so
Yeah.
that's really interesting, right? That age-old saying of, oh, put your money where your mouth is. And it's like people are willing to put money down for a lot of stuff they actually don't care about. And so money may not always be the best motivator. And so that's a really interesting point.
Yeah. And then I ask people all the time, because personal training is not cheap, right? The service I offer is an expensive service. And so when people tell me, hey, oh, I don't know if I could spend that money on that, well, I'd be like, okay, well, would you rather, if you had the option to, have $1 million, or you'll wake up tomorrow and tomorrow will be the last day you breathe, what would you choose? You know what I mean? Or if you woke up sick tomorrow and you're going to die, what would you choose? Most people would choose, their health. And so I say you got to look at it as an investment. Don't worry about the money. You're investing in yourself, your quality of your life. You know what I mean?
Again, like you said, that Jay-Z quote, right? The price of everything, but the value of nothing.
Absolutely.
And you're right. Like for me, with my health issues and my family lineage, diabetes is a common thing that runs.
Yeah, with me
as a family.
With me too.
And so, right. And so, like, I went through the process of finding out that I got diagnosed with diabetes. My health was out of whack. My weight, everything was out of whack. And so we had to like drastically change everything. And my wife, who was a nurse, who's been on me, just finally was like, yo, what are you doing? You want to have a family, you want to have kids, but you're not going to be here long term if this is what you're going to do.
Right.
So it was that wake up call of like, you know what, I can chase all the money, but if my health isn't here, that money's not going to do me or my family any good. And so changing the diet, eating, watching the calories, and just and working out and being healthier are those things that, like you're saying, what you're saying is really resonating with me, because that's been my story this past year and some change of like fighting diabetes and trying to be healthier. And so what you're saying is kind of really resonating with me, and it makes me kind of think within the industry and kind of what you do. I know what my story has been. What has been one of the best transformations you've been able to help a client reach, would you say?
So one of my clients, she's actually a good friend of mine as well. She's for her whole life, she's been saying, oh, I just want to be 120 pounds. I just want to be 120 pounds. I just want to be 120 pounds. And she's never been able to reach even like 110 pounds. Right. And so, actually, no, that's false. I think the most, when we start, no, yeah, actually, no. Before I started working with her, she hadn't even reached 110 pounds. Right. And, she's been trying to gain weight for a long time. And so, once I started working with her, we were able to gain weight. And long story short, I was able to help her get to up to 130 pounds, right? So she was 120 pounds was the initial goal. We got up to 130, cut back down to 125, and now, she's out living her life, enjoying it, and she's one of my best clients to this day.
What did you see? What were things that she did? And I'm sure and I'm sure there'll be some overlap, but I would love to hear just in this personal story, what are things that she did that you noticed that helped her be successful?
Consistency, number one. She showed up all the time, all the time. So I see her 4 times a week, and she hardly ever cancels. If she cancels, it's for an emergency. So I would say consistency was the number one thing. She follows directions really well. She pushes herself when she's here. She's not complaining about what if I add more weight. She's not complaining about the weight that I'm adding. You know what I mean? So I would say consistency, showing up, doing the work, and then also consistency outside of the gym, right? Because I don't just tell her what to do while she's here. I'm like, hey, you want to gain weight, you need to eat. You need to make sure that you're eating enough calories to support the weight gain. And for somebody her size, she's smaller and she's building muscle. The more muscle you have, the harder it is to gain weight because your body is constantly burning calories. And so eating can become a chore. Eating that much food can become a chore, right? But she did what she had to do. She did what it took. And yeah, I would say for her, to sum it up in one line, it takes what it takes, right? And she did what it takes. That's it. That's it.
I love that. I love that. So, so in terms of what it takes and kind of doing what you got to do, I would love for you to share kind of the story as we kind of pivot to the main event. And I would love for you to share with the audience what the main event is, right? And your story of why you kind of started that.
Yeah.
That was such a fire story.
Yeah. So basically what the main event is it's an empowerment event, right? Some people will call it a networking event, but for me it's more of an empowerment event. So MAIN is an acronym for motivation, advancement, information, and networking. And basically what we try to do is we try to show how everything in life is all connected. So we bring together professionals in the industries of fitness, finance, mental health, entrepreneurship, and the arts, and we put them all under one roof to create this potluck, if you will, of information. And as far as how the main event came about, so I always had this desire to bring together all of the businesses, like all of the people that were actually doing something of worth in my community. I had this desire to bring them together. And I'm sorry, hold on real quick.
You're good. You're good.
Sorry about that.
You're good.
Um,
You're good.
yeah. So yeah, I always had this desire to bring like the people together in my community who are actually doing something. But then I was like, you know what? That's not really impactful. Like I want people to leave this event feeling like they got elevated in mind, body, and soul. So I'm like, okay, can we put how can we accomplish that? And so when I think about it's kind of like, you know, with you know, with what you're doing, right? How can I make sure that when somebody leaves, they know how to elevate in body, right? So we got the fitness aspect. How can they elevate their mind? We got the mental health and all of the information that they learn, right? And then how can I make them elevate in the soul? I feel like nobody can speak to that better than creatives, right? Everything a creative puts out to the world is coming from their soul, right? That's allowing their soul to speak. And so that's how the idea for the event came about. And then once I presented it to my team, you know, they just took it to another level. But also too, you know, I always wanted to, well, not always, in recent years, I wanted to use my voice, you know, to impact people and to share my story and to, just help them lead better lives and to max out their full potential. And, I wanted to start to speak to various groups. And I started reaching out to people, but I wasn't hearing anything bad. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to empower myself. I'm going to throw my own event and I'm going to speak at my own event. And, you know, last year we did that and it was a great turnout. Like we put out a survey for the people that attended last year's event. And and one of the questions on the event was which segment was your favorite segment? And everybody said that, you know, my speech was their favorite segment. And so, you know, that was really dope for me to see. It was really fulfilling, you know. So yeah, that's kind of how the main event came about.
I love how there's this consistency with you, bro, in terms of you create your own opportunity. You take the things that you have and you create your own opportunity. And I think that is such an amazing skill that people could really glean from and learn from if they're willing to do that type of work. And again, I think a lot of times we're waiting for our big break, we're waiting for our opportunity when there are just times where we just need to make our own opportunity. I'll tell you a quick story. Back when I was working at the college and I was heading things up in multicultural affairs, we had this thing called the Students of Color Leadership Conference. In my very last one, last February of last year, we called it the building your own table, right? And it was this idea that instead of always trying to get seats at the table, always trying to, shrink yourself and minimize and small yourself so that you can fit in this little bit of area where you can kind of at least say, hey, I'm at the table, at least I'm at the table. It was the argument of why don't you take the tools and the skills that you have and build your own table. And what I'm seeing consistently with you and why I'm so happy to have you on the show is because you consistently found ways to build your own table instead of getting and waiting and begging and asking for seats at this table and here. You've been going about the process of building your own. So
Absolutely.
what are some things for people who want to go to the main event? What are some of the pieces that'll be there? What are some of the offerings that are there?
Yeah, so we're gonna have vendors from over 35 vendors from like the 5 different focus groups that I just said: the finance, fitness, entrepreneurship, arts, and creativity. Right, so you'll be able to speak directly to people in those industries. Right, so if you're looking to go to therapy, we're gonna have mental health professionals there to tell you how to go about that. If you're looking to get in shape, we're gonna have trainers and nutritionists there so you can speak with them, right, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of like my favorite part about it. But the one thing that we require of our vendors is that they come ready to teach, right? So let's say I'm a young kid and I want to start a t-shirt company. Don't just tell me, oh, to work hard and one day you can do it. Like, no, tell me the steps, the actionable steps that I can take, right? So that's one thing that we require of our vendors, right? So if I want to start a t-shirt company, go here, start your LLC, contact this manufacturer. You can get the t-shirts here for this price. Make sure you set up this type of credit account and this, that, right? Actionable steps that you can take to actually do the things that you want to do. We require that of our vendors. And then this year, which is different from last year, we're gonna do these things called focus corners. So last year we had like a huge panel discussion, and we actually just discussed this at our last meeting. So we're gonna do focus corners instead. And what a focus corner is gonna be, essentially, it's a workshop, right? So we're gonna be talking about this idea of work-life balance, right? And instead of having this one panel discussion and making people feel like they're in school and it's a lecture, we want the event to be more like a personal experience, a personalized experience. So if I'm there for fitness and I want to really go to the fitness focus corner, I'll be able to go and learn from that fitness professional. And the same thing for all of the other focus groups, the mental health, the entrepreneurship. And we're gonna have some really good raffle prizes. I'll be speaking at the event. We're gonna have some incentives to help people network, right? So we're gonna have like this sheet, like a bingo type of sheet thing, where it has questions, and if you hit bingo on the question sheet, you'll win a really good prize, right? So in order to answer those questions, you got to go talk to vendors and ask them this question, and the vendor will check off on your sheet, hey, this person actually came and asked me this question. We got to speak, boom. So there's that, and then there's like the social aspect to it. Free food, open bar, live DJ. We have a lot of photo ops. So it's gonna be a good time, great time.
That is awesome. That is awesome. For the Inspire family, I'm going to be there, so I'm excited for that. So real
Yes,
quick,
sir.
give us the dates. Give us the dates for those who want to know.
Yeah,
Dates
so
about to sign up.
main event is gonna be on June 8th, at Tenafly, New Jersey, at the atrium of Tenafly, New Jersey. Uh, Ticket sales are gonna be up in the coming weeks. You can follow me at _Big Breeze, or you can follow the main event page. Um, I'll tag that on. Des will tag that in the description. Um, so right now, if you want to be a vendor, you can reach out to us. We still have vendor registration open. And again, like I said, tickets will be out soon in the next, maybe, I believe, week or two. So it's going to be up on our website, which we're going to be launching in a few too. Yeah.
All right, bro, this is awesome. I think for our audience, I know that they've gotten kind of so much. I would love if you'd be willing to coach just for a little bit of time that we have. So if people, let's say the next 60 to 90 days, they want to just really get into it for the next 60 to 90 days and really start a solid foundation on a health journey. If you could just, if somebody came to you and said, Rodney, 60, 90 days, I want to just get like, I'm trying to get in shape, trying to burn fat, I'm trying to build muscle. What could I do for the next 60, 90 days? If you had to give them a couple of things to do, what would it be?
So here's where I would start. Everybody's different, right? So depending on who's talking to me, it's going to depend on what I tell you to do. But here's real simple, right? And then this is my philosophy. This is my training philosophy. It's keeping it simple. Prioritize building muscle, right? So strength train at least 3 times a week. Prioritize your sleep. Nothing happens when you're awake. You don't grow when you're awake. You grow when you sleep. Your muscles recover when you sleep. So you prioritize your sleep, right? Sleep helps you manage your stress levels, which ultimately helps manage your hunger levels, right? So if you sleep well, it's going to help you with those cravings and to not overeat, right? Prioritize proper nutrition and make sure you get on a program. So you can hire, or you don't even have to hire. You can go online, and they have free programs online that you can buy. Beginners, intermediate, experience. You can go online and find you a program, but make sure you get on a program so that way you're able to track your progress throughout the 60 to 90 days, right? So again, prioritize building muscle. Add in some cardio, whatever form of cardio you like, maybe 1 to 2 times a week, whatever you enjoy. If it's dancing, if it's walking, whatever you like, it doesn't matter. Add that in, sprinkle some of that in. And then in terms of nutrition, I have 3 rules that I give to my clients, right? And these rules are, when in doubt, just follow these rules. So I like to use the example if I'm out to eat with some friends or whatever, and I don't know what to order on the menu. If I follow these 3 rules, I'm good. Number 1, avoid the obvious crap. Right? We all know what the obvious crap is. If I say, Des, should you be eating ice cream right now? You know you shouldn't be eating ice cream. Right? Should you be eating fast food? You know you shouldn't be eating fast food. Right? So avoid the obvious crap. Number 2, prioritize your protein intake. Protein is going to do 2 things. Number 1, it's going to satiate you. It's going to keep you feeling full longer. So that's going to help you to cut back on the amount of calories you eat throughout the day. And number 2, it's gonna promote muscle growth within the body, which is what you need in order to burn calories, right? And then number 3 is to avoid processed foods as best as possible, right? So what does that look like? That's basically eat the foods in their natural form as best as you can. I know it's hard to do that in this country, but you try your best. And the reason for that is so the processed foods, they are engineered to bypass all of your hunger signals, right? So if you take like a bag of potato chips, like the crunch and then whatever the powder it leaves on your fingers and all of these things, it's engineered to bypass your hunger signal. So now you can eat a whole bag of chips and still be hungry after, right? So I give people the example all the time. I actually got this from a guy named Sal DeStefano on a podcast I watched. And he gave the example. He was like, if I give you 5 potatoes, baked potatoes, no butter, no salt, versus a family-sized bag of Doritos, which one do you think you would be able to get through first? Right? And the reason why that's important is because if I eat a diet that's rich in whole foods, is when I eat the whole foods, my body is getting nutrients. So at some point, my body is going to say, okay, we're full. We have enough nutrients. Stop eating. But with the processed foods, that doesn't happen. And so what happens is you start eating all these calories, and by the end of the day, you've overeaten, and now you're wondering why the scale is going up. So a natural way to cut back on calories is to stop eating the processed foods, is to start eating those whole foods, right? And so, again, just to reiterate, avoid the obvious bullcrap, prioritize protein, and eat a diet that's rich in whole foods. Avoid processed foods as best as possible. That's the nutrition side. The training side, get on a program, prioritize building muscle, prioritize your sleep. Those are so that's what I would say.
Bro, it's so simple, and I think that's probably what the challenge is, because there really is no other way around.
Right.
There's no other way around the work. You just got to be willing to do the work and the discipline.
Yeah, and I want to jump in right there too, because 2 things. Number 1, people, they misconstrue simple or easy. It's simple. It's not easy. I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's easy. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's simple. You work out, you eat right, you get the results. Right? And working out and training is one of the only things in life that if you do what you say you're going to do and you do what you're supposed to, you will 100% see the results. It's not like business where I can send out all the emails, I can put out all this effort and still nobody buys my product, right? Working out is not like that. Working out is the only thing where if you do what you're supposed to do, you're going to reap the benefits of it.
Yeah.
And so, I just tell people all the time, is don't overcomplicate it. Keep it simple. Just do what it takes, and just keep showing up, and eventually, you'll get exactly what it is you're looking for.
I love that. Don't confuse simple with easy.
Yeah.
And being in the gym and working out is one of the few places where you will get the exact results you put in.
Yep.
Work you put in, you will get the results for. There is no hoping and wishing, and I love that.
Yeah.
Rodney, I thank you so much, bro. How can the people connect with you if they want to connect with you?
Yeah, man, I'm on Instagram _Big Breeze. That's where I do most of I post most of my content. I interact with my people through Instagram, so you can find me on there. Yeah, I got my blog, overstand.blogspot.com, overstand.blogspot.com. I got a lot of articles up there if anybody's looking to get in shape. A lot of things about mindset on there. You can check that out. And then you can check out the main event page as well. You got a lot going on there too.
Bro, I love it. We will make sure to tag all of those in the description below. But y'all, for Rodney, I've been your host, Desmond. Thank you so much for logging into the Inspired House. We hope that you take the information shared here today, you take it to your gym, you take it and build up your house. And we hope that at the end of the day, you stay inspired. But until then, peace.
Let's get it.